Welcome to the Car Guy Show. Join award-winning automotive magazine publisher Tim Miller, along with his co-hosts, national champion race car driver Kristen Traeger, and country singer, songwriter, and driving instructor Luke Betchner as they travel the country looking at car life and car culture. Join us as we meet car guys in their cars, in their garages, at their clubs, and at their events. Come along for a real kick in the asphalt.
Welcome to the Car Guy Show. I'm your host, Tim Miller. Imagine driving across South America in basically a 700 horsepower dune buggy. 1,000 miles and 14 days of grueling on and off-road racing in the Dakar Rally, where we meet up with a Dallas rally driver who did just that. Later, Kristin and Luke meet up with a few car guys at Cars and Coffee, and they make a pit stop at one of our favorite places to go, Quaker Steak and Lube. Stay with us for another kick in the asphalt.
You're watching the Car Guy Show, and we'll be right back.
We're at Corvette Racing here with Bryan Garvey, who just returned from South America for the 35th annual Dakar Rally. And he's going to tell us about it. It's a grueling race of, 14 days or something along those lines. Tell us more about your experience.
Well, you know, Dakar is supposed to be the ultimate motorsport challenge, and that is what they billed it as since it was in its inception. It originally ran from Paris to Dakar, Senegal. And in 2009, they moved the race to South America, and it's been run there since. And so what it involves is 5,800 miles of racing in 14 days, primarily off-road. And it throws at you every bit of terrain, obstacle that they can think to pack in. And so, you know, in South America specifically, we start in Buenos Aires. We went, you know, across the plains, so there you have, you know, the open plain runs, you have some mountains, you have some tight track trails in between fields, you have mud. You start at cool temperature. The second day we get up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. From there we climb up to across the Andes and over into Chile. And once we do that, in Chile we get into the sand dunes and the Atacama Desert and those dunes, and those are the Atacama Desert is the driest place on Earth. The dunes are incredible. It is like the face of the moon. There is not a stick of grass or anything you can see from some of the tops of the dunes as far as you can see. It's just this infinite sand tops that are constantly changing because of the wind. So we take those on for 3 or 4 days, work to the north part of Chile, and from there we cross back over the Andes, and now we're in the upper elevations of Bolivia, where we cross the Uni Salt Flats, which is one of the largest salt flats in the world. So we've gone from temperature, sand, dunes, altitude. One of our passes was over 15,000 feet elevation. We get into Bolivia. We stay overnight at a 10,000 foot elevation base with no support to help rework the car. Retrace our steps, come back down out of Bolivia, back through the dunes of Chile, back across the Andes, and then back to Buenos Aires in 14 days. So in that time, I raced every day, all day long, took on whatever challenge came our way, and we had everything you can think of. Mechanical failure, stuck in the sand, you know, hit by another competitor, rolled the car over, trapped in the car. I mean, everything was thrown at us, but we just keep persevering. But slept in the tent, took a cold shower every night, but got back up every day, and you just kept on going. And so it was a true experience, a true challenge to take on, for sure.
Wow, I just can't imagine that. I mean, how did you hold up? Were you, I mean, after the first day, I think I'd be exhausted and hard to carry on for 13 more days. So how do you do that? How do you manage that? And then also, you're pretty much on your own, right? It's not without a chase crew or something of that sort, or how does that work? Yeah,
that's part of the international cross-country or rally race style, is that once we leave the start line in the morning, we can take no outside support as a racer except from another race team until we get to the finish that night. And however long it takes you to get to that finish depending on whatever obstacle you encounter, it's however long it takes you. You're only required to make the restart the next morning. And in fact, one day we were stuck in the sand, got down in what basically were the equivalent of silt beds, and kept trying to work through that. Other people were stuck blocking the way. We're having to work around. We kept having to get, around them. We'd get stuck again, and it just went on and on and on. We started in the morning, didn't end up finishing that stage until 4:00 a.m. the next day. Then got in and took a late start for the next day because we had to get in, refuel the car, try to do some repairs on it, eat, get back in the car and take off immediately as quick as we can, and then raced all day long. So that's part of the challenge, and that's what makes it Dakar.
Well, it seems as if there's a number of different skill sets that you have to have, being a driver, but also a navigator perhaps, and then also the mechanical side of it to repair the vehicle at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. What was your biggest repair or most challenging?
Well, and there were a few, and that's what attracts me, I think, to cross-country rally, is that the challenge is not just driver skill, and it's not just navigation skill, it's driver, navigation, and mechanical ability, mm-hmm.
And
endurance over time, day after day after day. But in Dakar, or in one day, we lost the starter, we lost the power steering pump, we got so much sand trapped in the steering servo that it locked up. We couldn't steer the car. We carried two spares. We ended up having 8 flats. That's because we were able to repair 2 tires with duct tape and bungee cord.
Wow.
And then we just drove on flats because that's the only choice we had. So, broke the mount that holds the power steering pump on the motor. And it's mm-hmm. hard to pull off welding when you're in the middle of nowhere with mm-hmm. no one to help you. So wire and.
As far as navigation side, do you have an opportunity to scout the route beforehand? Are you given any waypoints or anything like that, or seat of your pants, or how does that work?
No, and that's part of the cross-country and international rally style, is that there is no pre-running of the course. The course is not known to the competitors until pretty much right before you're going to take the start the next day. Basically, the night before the next stage starts, they give you the course for the next day, but it's not a map. It's not a GPS chart with waypoint directions in it. Well, all you get is a notebook with tulip notes, and it's basically turn-by-turn directions, but you have to be able to interpret the symbols. You have to be able to interpret their notes about, is this a dangerous turn? Is there obstacles here? Mm-hmm. Is there a hazard? And then you have to be able to calculate and keep your distance mileage, because that's the only indications you have in that book. If you get off, you need to figure out where you got off. You got to backtrack, reset your mileage, and go on from there. Mm-hmm. So navigation is a huge part of it. It's part of the challenge.
Was there any particular times that you wish that you had ejector seats or something to launch yourself out of trouble?
I've not run into that. You feel bad for the guy that sits over here and just has to call directions. He can't turn the wheel. Who's
really white-knuckled the entire time, calling out directions, and
he's really subject to just whatever happens. So he has to have a lot of faith, and we have to. Mm-hmm. But I think there may be a couple times he'd like to get out, but. We do pretty well with it.
Well, how do you manage the driver swaps? You just do you schedule it out, or do you on your gut feeling or how you're doing at that time?
Yes. Well, to go back to Dakar being such a long rally, we did that. We realized we picked who was primary driver, who was primary co-driver.
Okay.
So that we kind of had a hierarchy there. The other guy, he was more familiar with the car. We felt like after running it, it needed to be him primary driver, which is what we kind of thought to begin with. He stayed primary driver. I did all the co-driving position, and we would switch based on a talk we would have at the beginning of the day about fatigue from the day before, type of terrain, how are you feeling? And there were a couple times where he, even in the race, he just said, I need to stop. I need you to take over for me. And you've got to have the wherewithal to know when it's time, and that's a big part of it. So I think it's almost 80% mental. I think you can be in good shape, but if you can't mentally hold it together, you're not going to.
Right, to stay sharp, because there's a lot of vehicles around you as well that are traveling high rate of speed, flying all over the place.
Yes. And people get tired, people get frustrated, they get behind. That you've got to be very wary of that. Keep yourself calm so that when something does happen, you're reacting appropriately. always. And when a mistake happens, not letting yourself
fall apart
over it. You need to recover and move on and not get bogged down.
Yeah, just put it behind you and just keep moving, because the whole idea is really just keep moving.
Yes. And we did it. We did a really, it wasn't a hard impact, but it was a kind of a significant rollover. And I think it was good that we had spent so much time together and talked through what to do, because we rolled over, and the way that we ended up, we were trapped in a car. There was a berm that prevented our exit path from either side of the car from being open. And I was actually on the bottom side, and the other driver, so when we let loose our belts, he's actually on me, and we're having to talk through, you need to dig us out, and he's having to physically by hand pull dirt away to open a hole for us to climb out of the car. Well, in those moments, you got to stay really calm, because the car smells, you can smell fuel, you're upside down, it's dark, you flipped over quickly, you weren't expecting it. I'd see if you panic there, and there was, say, the car was in a dangerous position, say there was fire or something, you could cost yourself majorly in a hurry. So, but we stuck to it, got out, dug our way out, got some help from another competitor to help roll us back over, and we got back in it. So we were very lucky.
Well, Bryan, thank you for sharing your experiences with the rally racing with us today. How cool is it to be able to spend 14 days not laying on a beach somewhere with a Mai Tai or something like that, but driving like crazy men across the dunes and the woods of South America. What a great experience. And please keep in touch with us and let us know with the next races and rallies how you're doing, and we'd love to hear from you. Thanks again, Bryan.
Thank you.
You're watching The Car Guy Show. We'll be right back.
Kristin Traeger here, and we're at Cars and Coffee. Check out these guns. Man, this thing has some serious guns on it. It is a serious zombie slaying machine, let me tell you. Cars and Coffee is held the first Saturday of every month here at Classic BMW in Plano, Texas, and it also benefits charity, this time benefiting the bridge. So come with me as we meet some car guys and check out their cool cars. We're here with Dan Crowley and his Jensen with a Viper motor in it. What possessed you?
Yeah, something that was called the Viper Scepter when it was built. It's a one of one, and they made interceptors back in the 60s and 70s, but somebody decided to do a custom version of what it would look like if it was produced today. It's all updated. All the bodywork is metal, new front end, new rear end, the rocker sills, the fender flares. It was all done based on an artist rendition. They were going to launch the brand again. They decided not to, but somebody went off and built one just to show what it would look like.
Well, beautiful job. It's a fantastic car. All right, can we pop open the hood and take a look at the engine? Well, you weren't kidding. The motor's packed in there quite neatly.
It's a tight fit. They had to completely remove all the heater and air conditioning system, move that to the trunk. All the inner fender wells are brand new. The scowls, the brake system is custom, larger brakes, larger wheels, upgraded suspension. The exhaust is unbelievable, all stainless. The interior is all brand new, all new leather. Has a new display, dash. Stereo system. It's just really a unique car. I think based on the reaction I've got, this is the first time I've shown it in the U.S. since it's been brought over, and the reaction's been really interesting, especially when people see the engine.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, oh my God, I didn't realize it had a Viper.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your car today. It is definitely one of a kind.
Thanks for looking at it. Have a great day.
You too. We are here with David Recker and his Datsun, the predecessor to today's Nissans. Can you tell me about this car?
It's a 1972 Datsun 240Z. It has an LS6 swap, so there's not a whole lot left Datsun on it, really, but my vision was just a weekend track car, so I wanted more power than the original engine. It's got a fully adjustable suspension, big brake kit, fully caged, aim system. The list goes on and on, but I think I'm about done where I want it. Now it's just drive and have fun.
Fantastic. What tracks do you go to?
A Motorsport Ranch, Eagles Canyon, I'm originally from California, so I used to go a lot of tracks out there, like Laguna Seca and Infineon Raceway. But,
Laguna Seca, one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'd like to go to Dakar. That's where I would like to take it, but I haven't had the opportunity yet. So.
Great. What other modifications have you made to it?
Let's see. Like I said, the big brake kit. I mean, it's got a T56 6-speed from a Camaro. It's got a completely different rear end. It's a Nismo Motorsport limited slip differential with 300 ZX half shafts. It's like a CV joint conversion.
Okay.
Just to handle the power.
Right.
So.
What's the horsepower?
I made 400 at the wheel with 367 torque, and it weighs 2,400 pounds.
Ooh, that's light. Some good power to weight ratio right there.
Yeah, but it is a 50-50 weight distribution, so.
Very good. That's what you want for a track car.
Yes, you do.
All right, well, thanks for sharing your car with us today.
Thanks a lot.
We're here with Frank Albrecht and his daughter Ann in their GTO. And you're the only second owner of this car, right?
That's correct, Kristin. I'm the second owner of this vehicle. My uncle called me up and said, Frank, take the old GTO out of the barn. It's kind of just rusting away. We know you can take care of it, and I'm actually the second title owner of the car. The car was originally purchased by my uncle from his father. With that said, this is a beautiful car. We've totally restored it. It's a 1965 GTO tri-power 389 4-speed Muncie. Posi traction, and it's basically our ice cream mobile. We take the kids out for ice cream on Sunday and just enjoy it and come to the car shows and just kind of hang out. It's a nice family event.
What work have you done to restore this car?
The engine itself originally came with just a single carburetor, so the factory had a tri-power option, so we put the tri-power option on it to make it the most beefiest muscle car that the GTO could have. We did a little paint work to it. Of course, when you're restoring a car, there's always some kind of body work to it. Interior's original, dashboard's original, steering wheel, a lot of things on this car are original. Any part I've taken off the car, maybe old exhaust, I've kept all the old stuff, so if we ever wind up selling it.
Well, does your daughter get the pleasure of driving this when she's 16?
Absolutely. The challenge I'm going to have is when the young men want to come over to the house. I think that's going to be my real issue, but she's a very elite gymnast, and she's a good student, so absolutely, she can drive and take whatever she wants.
You looking forward to driving this someday?
Sure.
All right. Well, thanks for sharing your car with us. It's a beauty.
All right. Thank y'all.
We are here with Mike Harvey, the owner of this fantastic 918 Spider. And I have to admit, out of all the Porsches, this is the one that I haven't driven. You got to tell me what it's like.
Well, it's exceeded any expectation I had when I ordered it, that's for certain. The torque is just instantaneous. The mechanical grip coming out of slow-speed corners is amazing. Just fantastic, it really is.
Sounds like you've taken it on a racetrack then.
I have.
Where do you go to?
This was at Coda.
Okay, very nice track. Formula One track.
Formula One track.
All right, how much horsepower does this have?
Just under 900. 887, I believe, is the factory number.
Just under 900, no big deal. What's your favorite thing about the car?
Everything. It's hard to pick one thing. So mentioning the torque and how it pulls coming out of corners and on a straight, it's just unbelievable. The handling, the torque, the speed, it truly is just a completely different class of car.
What's the top speed on it?
I think it's 210, 212. I haven't gotten there yet. And 0 to 60, I think, is 2.3.
Wow. Very nice. Do you have any other cars in your collection?
I do. Right now I'm pretty heavy on the Porsches. Excited about the GT4 and the GT3 RS that are coming here next, probably over the summertime. Looking forward to getting those on the track as well.
Nice. You a Porsche Club of America member?
I am indeed.
Good. Nice to meet another fellow member.
You bet.
You're watching The Car Guy Show, and we'll be right back.
I'm here with Greg Whelan, the general manager of Quaker Steak and Lube, a car-themed restaurant. What is the origin of Quaker Steak and Lube?
We started in 1974 in a little town called Sharon, Pennsylvania, about an hour north of Pittsburgh, right on the Pennsylvania-Ohio line, actually in a motor oil garage. And it's a little bit different than the location you have here. We've actually got the real lifts there, and a lot of memorabilia, a lot of nostalgia, a lot of memories. Like I said, 41, 42 years now there. We're just very event-driven, destination-driven, cars, motorcycles, live entertainment.
Well, you've got restaurants all over the country, right?
We do, yeah. There are probably about 16 corporate stores right now, and in the neighborhood of 40-plus franchisees, with a lot more scheduled to open.
Tell me about some of the events you host.
Well, we do a weekly bike night, we do a weekly car cruise, and we do a lot of in-between scheduled meets for the car groups that want to come out. We do a lot of charity events. We have events here called Make a Difference Mondays. So if there's a local organization or somebody that's in need, we'll donate a percentage of the proceeds from that evening. We help them advertise it and get the word out there. So we do a lot of events like that, and a lot of large events. Like at the original location, we do some things with United Way, and we're kind of breaking that out into the different regions and the different areas now. So anything that we can do in the community to help out, we just try to become part of the community as much as we can. It's not just a place to eat, but there's always something happening at the Lube.
Right. Making it for a good cause.
For sure.
Well, thanks for having us out to your restaurant. It is fantastic. I love the car theme.
Well, we appreciate you being here, and let's get something to eat.
Okay. Chow down.
Well, that's it for this week's show. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching it as much as we did making it. Remember to like us on Facebook and check out our YouTube channel where you can watch all episodes and bonus videos at any time you like. Join us next week for another Kick in the Asphalt.
You made it.
Hold on, let me ask it.
Now we're at Quaker Steak and Lube, having a quick bite to eat.
Forks up.
That's right. I can't fork a burger, so.
Check one. Ooh. Don't put it in my mouth.